Manchester United had a very busy transfer window this summer, and it was probably our best transfer window in a long time. There was a lot of outs, there was a lot of ins, and while it wasn't perfect, when you look at what we've done in previous transfer windows, this summer was a success. But INEOS want to continue that next summer. In fact, if you include the money that we've saved through wages and the money people get from Jadon Sancho at the end of his loan spell, Man United only had about a net spend of about £30 million last summer, which is pretty crazy. So there is funds to spend in January and there is funds to spend next summer. And we've got a bit of a breakdown coming out from inside sources about what INEOS want to do in January and summer 2025. Eze, Branthwaite, left back. Who else? Kvaratskhelia is the dream as well. Plans to get rid of Casemiro, plans to get rid of Eriksen. Who's going to be saved? Who's going to be up for sale? Lindelof to leave on a free, and more. So guys, please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. We will then talk about some news on Bruno Fernandes, a couple other little stories coming about Wonder Kids to United and more. And I do want to say this now, I am on the road to 100,000 subscribers. We're about 10 subscribers away from 92.7k, so please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. It means loads. But let's get into this Eze Branthwaite story. Manchester United's provisional plan for next summer is to sign a defender, a midfielder and a winger. Eze is of interest. Manchester United are expected to keep track of Branthwaite as well. Now, INEOS always wanted to actually have a more domestic approach in the transfer market. Premier League proven players, the homegrownness, all of that, which means, yes, you have to overpay a little bit, but you get homegrown, Premier League proven, ticks a few boxes. They couldn't do that last summer because Branthwaite, they were asking for a fortune, so they said, we're going to walk away from Branthwaite. They thought that De Ligt, Mazraoui and Euro were just really good deals out there in the market. Evan Ferguson would have been like 60 million, and he's really not been that good for a while. Xerxes was there. And in midfield, they only really wanted Agate. They like Adam Wharton. He could be a next summer signing, but it was clear that they wanted Agate. So I'm no surprised that Eze and Branthwaite are United targets for next year. Now, I like Eze, but I do think he's more of an attacking midfielder type winger, more a left-sided number 8. And I think in Ten Hag's system, he likes more wingers that can hold the touchline, stay wide. So I do think in Ten Hag's system, like the dream winger for me would be Kvaratskhelia, but Napoli aren't going to sell him for at least 100 million. So it could be mission impossible. But I will say that Man United's provisional plan for next summer is to sign a defender, winger and midfielder. Defender, winger and midfielder. I don't know why my voice just cracked up there. And Eze could be one of the names of interest. So if we look at Eze, now I see Eze as more of an attacking midfielder, if I'm going to be honest, than a winger. More of a Bruno replacement for the future, more than a winger. But I do think he's a very good player. In a sort of an attacking midfield role, Eze ranks first for dribbles, offensive duels, second for successful attacking actions, non-penalty goals, expected goals, shots, third for progressive runs, goals, seventh for crosses into goalkeeper box, seventh for fouls suffered, eighth for shot assists, eighth for touches in opponent's box, and ninth for key passes. There's a very good player there, and if he was playing for a more possession-dominant side and a team higher up the table, those stats would be even better. You look at his statistics as a winger, he's fourth for shots, sixth for non-penalty goals, seventh for goals, seventh for offensive duels, ninth for shot assists, ninth for long passes, 10th for expected goals, 10th for dribbles. It's still decent stats as a winger, and I think in a better team he would absolutely thrive. And there's no doubt in my mind that I think Eze could be a brilliant bit of business for United, and I think he could be a brilliant signing and a brilliant player for Manchester United. But I think to bring in Eze, you'd need to offload Mason Mount, because I see Eze as someone that's going to fill in centrally and then go out wide. He's more versatile. For me, Mason Mount would have to go. Now, the big question is what's going to be the role and season for Mason Mount. We'll have to judge Mason Mount this season. I think off the ball, he makes us a better team because of his pressing, and I actually think when he's on the pitch, the team plays better. But when he's on the pitch, we either have to drop Bruno or drop a striker. And if you drop Bruno, there's no creativity. And if you drop a striker, there's no one to get on the end of the chances we create. So it's almost like if you could have 12 players, Matt would be perfect. But how do we fit him in to the 11? Now, I want to continue on to some more of Manchester United's plans for next summer. At least one central midfielder incoming is planned by Manchester United in summer 2025, with Christian Eriksen set to be let go when his contract ends in June. Casemiro's future is also uncertain. So Luckhouse speaks about Lindelof and Eriksen likely to go on a free. Maguire potentially could have his contract extended, but could also go on a free. Casemiro, they obviously want to sell, and we do want at least one central midfielder. It was actually said in a report 3 days ago that we want both Casemiro and Eriksen out, and we want to bring in two midfielders to replace Casemiro and Eriksen. So another number 6 to back up Agate, and another number 8 to back up Kobbie Mainoo. And I think we could have Maybe sign a second midfielder this summer, because I think, well, Kobe Collier looks good in pre-season. I do think we're a little bit thin in that 8 role, because we lost Mejbri, we lost Amrabat, we lost obviously McTominay. We've only got one midfielder in for the 3 that we lost. Obviously Mejbri doesn't really count. I do think we're a little bit thinner in that midfield role, if I was going to be honest. So I personally think we probably need 2 midfield signings. So let's talk about United's plan. Let's talk about Manchester United's priorities. Manchester United's priorities for 2025 will include selling and replacing Eriksen and Casemiro, likely bringing in 2 midfield additions. The club is also targeting a new left-back with potential options including Dorgu, who we spoke about yesterday, Loku, Aït-Nouri, Robinson and Kirkes. Additionally, Man United plan to sign a left-footed centre-back to replace Lindelof and Maguire, both of whom are expected to leave in the summer. Strengthening the wings is also a focus, with Eberechi Eze also being on the list of targets. So it looks like what United is sort of thinking is Maguire and Lindelof go, Branthwaite comes in as left centre-back. When the left-back goes, we get Dorgu, Loku, Aït-Nouri, Robinson, Kirkes. I like Robinson the most just because I've seen the most of him. As a left-back, bish bash boss. Left centre-back in Branthwaite, left-back in Robinson. Then they're going to look at 2 midfielders, a number 6 and number 8. Be interesting to see who that is. Then they're going to be looking on the wing, whether it's Eze, whether it's Kvaratskhelia, whether it's someone really interesting, whether it's the guy from Real Betis we were watching. It'll be interesting to see what we do, and I think we'll have more indication come January, sort of December time, if anything's going to happen in the January window. And I sort of come, I say like April, May time, you almost know what United are going to do in the summer window. Guys, please do that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below if you're this far into the video and you're new to the channel, as it really will help us out on our massive road to 100k. It's so close. I really want to hit it as soon as possible now. Now, this is my dream signing for United, Kvaratskhelia. I think he's absolutely insane. I think he's perfect for the system. I think he's a guy that could do a really good job in a poor and sustainable system. And I honestly just wish we had a Manchester United. He's my dream winger signing. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. He can play and excel in bad systems. He can play in good systems. For me, Kvaratskhelia is what I'd love to see at Manchester United. But Napoli, they are probably the worst club when it comes to buying players of. Unless you've got a release clause in your contract, Napoli will basically not sell you and then force you to sign new contracts, and it's going to be very, very difficult if we want to get our hands on Kvaratskhelia. But in my opinion, he would be the dream and ideal signing this summer. Let's talk about Lindelof and more. Victor Lindelof will be released by United at the end of the season if he stays beyond January, and it's also likely that it will be Johnny Evans' final season of his playing career. United are looking to get 3 or 4 million for Victor Lindelof in January, so he doesn't go on a free, but Lindelof knows if he leaves United, he's going to have to lower his wages, and Lindelof also knows he gets a bonus if he leaves United on a free for the next club he joins, so Lindelof is probably staying at United to run down his contract for the money. United would have accepted 6 to 9 million for Lindelof in the summer, but Lindelof didn't express much interest in leaving. Johnny Evans obviously here for depth, but this will likely be his final year of his career. I assume he goes into coaching. I like Johnny Evans in terms of what he's going to bring to the dressing room and mentality and experience. He's a good player to have in the dressing room as well. So it's likely to be their final seasons, which would explain United wanting Branthwaite. I also think that Maguire is at risk as well. But I think United, because they spent 80 million on Maguire, would like to get a bit of money for him. You know, we spent so much money on Pogba, he went for free. To spend so much money on Maguire and him go for free, and then maybe the same for Anthony, because no one's going to give Anthony the wages he wants. There's a bit of a scenario there as well. This is another player that we've been linked to, not someone that I haven't watched a load of, but it was said that United made contact with Sevilla to request a move, more information about promising fullback talent, Wanalu Sanchez, and he had a very good Olympics. Now, we've been linked to Dorgu, we've been linked to Sanchez, we've been linked to a lot of young fullbacks, and I have a feeling, potentially, depending on the injury situation, we may go for a left-back in January. I think, you know, as a midfield is summer signings, but again, I think what we do in January depends on injuries and the form of certain players. We may sign a midfielder in January. We may sign a winger in January if Rashford and Anthony have poor seasons. But I do think left-back in January could be one to watch. These are his sort of statistics here, but he ranks 3rd for possession, just interceptions as an under-21 fullback, just behind Udogie and Gusto. So, you know, he's in a good sort of area in terms of fullbacks. But I want to talk about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes was unbelievable for Portugal last night. And I think that, you know, if Bruno was a pet player or didn't play at United, he'd be rated so much higher than he is. So I said this. Bruno Fernandes is a joke of a player. Sometimes I feel like his ability is wasted at United. 1 goal and 6 chances created today for Portugal. 22 goals and assists in his last 18 games for Portugal. Ranked 1st for expected assists in the Premier League these last 2 seasons under Erik ten Hag with 16.7 in 22-23, despite only recording about 9 assists, showing how his teammates underperformed such missed chances. Created the most chances in the Premier League last season and has done 3 out of 4 of his full campaigns despite playing on a disabled system. 95 goal contributions for United despite joining in January 2020, always fit and available, never stops pressing, running or doing what the manager asked, played centre-back practically with one leg for us in the FA Cup, played DM, centre-mid, cam, centre-forward on both wings for us when we needed him. Only ever missed 6 games due to injury, 8th top scorer for Portugal already. Hope Ten Hag tweaks his systems, we can see Bruno in his best role. I feel like if he was a City player, he'd be rated higher. I do think we sit and disrespect Bruno, and I think we haven't seen the best of Bruno at United, and I think there needs to be some tweaks to the system to get Bruno on the ball more and see the best at Bruno. But I think he's such a good player that the focus needs to be on building the system, I think, around Bruno this season, because he's going to be the guy that's going to change games. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching today's video. Please hit the like button on the way out. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.